Saw dudes, I just tested out some builds on Rhino Prime to bring him to level cap and obtained some pretty great results. I have always wanted to bring this frame to level cap either in Disruption or Void Cascade. As you'll see in the footage, he can thrive with a good weapon loadout. Plus he has a huge bottom piece and tons of meme potential. Let's get started. The build for Rhino Prime remains largely the same since my initial build video on him was made last year. However, there has been a couple notable changes. One is that I subsume Nourish over his charge, which is annoying to hear, I know, and the other change being that I no longer run any range mods on him. Instead of Stretch, I slotted Energy Nexus for low maintenance energy economy. With Nourish, it becomes an afterthought. Iron Skin scaling and upkeep is handled via enemy damage and reinforcing stomp. The aura is up to preference, but I like to use Growing Power because it matches the piece growing from Rhino's groin area, and because it gives us bonus ability strength for Roar. And before you ask, yes, Rolling Guard does affect Overguard. It's mainly used as a stalling option when everything else fails. The arcanes are up to preference, but I do not suggest using armor arcanes at all. Instead, I would use something that enhances damage or provides another benefit. I used Molt Efficiency and Molt Augmented to improve all of my abilities. The extra duration reduces recasts, and the strength amps up our outgoing weapon damage through Roar's Bane buff. As for Archon Shards, I used 2 Emerald Corrosive Shards, 2 Crimson Ability Strength Shards, and 1 Amber Casting Speed Shard. The Emerald Shards do not need to be Tau Forged, those were the only ones I had lying around, so I just used them here. Use the normal versions and you'll get the same results. For my primary weapon, I used the Bubonico. This is a standard Hunter Munitions loadout. However, if I could change one thing about this build, I would swap ammo stock for Prime Shard Shell to create corrosive damage on the primary fire. This would have worked well with the Emerald Shards. The alt fire was used to prime enemies with viral stacks for higher damage over time. In the secondary slot, I used Vasto Prime Incarnon. The Incarnon evolutions I chose to use are Death Trap Trigger, Extended Volley, and Survivor's Edge. I know this gun seems like an extremely weird choice, but it performs well in level cap since it melts targets with Overguard while in Incarnon form. It has really high raw damage, hence the reason why I wanted to use it. Plus, I'm just a big fan of revolvers and Onslaught from the Metal Gear Solid series. The melee weapon I chose to use was Glaive Prime for its massive slash procs. The build shown is standard, but does take advantage of melee duplicate in the instance that the explosion is a yellow crit. It's not required at all. Roar's damage buff gets applied twice for slash ticks, letting them hit in the multi-million range. For the companion, I chose to use Dethcube Prime for easier energy regeneration. Duplex Bond, Energy Generator, and Seismic Bond assist in ability spamming. Tenacious Bond is used to reduce recovery time. The companion weapon I chose to use was Hellstrom for status priming. I used Gas and Electric for Guncio scaling. However, if you wanted to have easy viral scaling, just swap the 60/60 mods out accordingly. Madurai was the focus school I chose to use. It offers faster ability casting via power transfer and ability strength via link strength. With Void Strike, it makes it easier to one-shot Thrax units. Unairu was unnecessary given our gear, and we don't need anti-stagger or extra armor. I used a 147 amp setup or Raplac Prism, Fat Scaffold, and Certus Brace. This was recommended to me for general use and Endurance Void Cascade. I used Magus Cloud, Magus Lockdown, Eternal Eradicate, and Eternal Onslaught as my operator arcanes. I don't have a max rank Magus Cloud, but I highly suggest that you get one. Okay, that is everything that I used for the run. Now let's talk about it. I felt like this level cap run was one of my best. Rhino doesn't need much, to be honest. He has great survivability, amazing crowd control, and one of the best damage buffs in the game for damage over time builds. Iron Skin scales with levels, meaning that the more enemies hit you during the true invulnerability phase, the harder you are to kill. This means you don't need to build into it at all. You just need to hit the ability button to stay alive. Moving around and using your other abilities definitely helps you out too. Roar is a godsend for melting anything, but pairs well with AoE slash weapons, hence my choice of Glaive Prime. Unlike the Helminth version, Rhino's Roar has much better scaling and can allow you to remove Bane mods on weapons for either quality of life options or crit scaling. Rhino Stomp is actually just stupid. It ties the whole kit together nicely. When you stomp, you send enemies into an airborne stasis, where they stay until the duration of the ability ends. However, enemies that are affected by Overguard are drastically slowed instead, and basically can't take any offensive action. You'll see me use this in the footage, especially against Thrax units. You don't really know how good Rhino is until you build him correctly and just jump in. I was pleasantly surprised by his performance, and I found his kit to be very fun. I think I will be using him a lot more, and tweaking my primary weapon choice to better suit his strengths. I'm very happy that I was able to share this level cap loadout with you all, especially considering that Rhino is a fan favorite. I hope it helps. If you have any insights or questions, leave them in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, and happy farming.
Exolizer spent.